Hello, wow, 2020 makeup favorites. Little late on that one, I know, but today's video is brought to you from my bedroom. So before we get started, let me know, do you like this kind of not cute, bland background? Do you prefer the jungle room? Let me know. I'm just kind of bebopping around the house trying to figure out where I should film from now on. But today I just wanted to sit on my bed and talk a lot about makeup. I did a poll on Instagram asking you guys, would you prefer to see a comprehensive 2020 makeup favorites video that includes even all of the products I've talked about endlessly for years? Or would you like a shorter list of just newer discoveries that were my favorites in 2020? And overwhelmingly, people voted for the comprehensive list. But for those of you who didn't and want something shorter, for the products that I've been talking about forever, I'm just going to breeze through them and just mention them. So hopefully we can appease everybody. That being said, I got a lot of shit to talk about, so let's jump in. I know people are going to ask, so before you do, I have Natasha Denona Chroma Crystal Eye something or other in peach on my eyes. And on my lips, I have the Victoria Beckham Bitten Lip Tint in Cherie. And now let's talk about my 2020 makeup favorites. So 2020 for me was the year of masks. It was the year of no foundation, of powder blush, of not a lot of lip product purchases, but a ton of eyeshadow purchases that were mostly single cream pots or glitter toppers. And you'll see that theme really reflected in all of my favorites this year. So because of that, I only have two foundation favorites. Interestingly enough, I tested out a lot of like tinted sunscreen products and none of those made it onto my favorites list just because I feel like if you're trying to do a sunscreen or you're trying to do a makeup item, there kind of ends up being a compromise, whereas I prefer when companies just nail their sunscreen formula or nail a foundation product. I've just never found that anything in the middle is 100% perfect. So when I have been doing, an all over the face kind of tinted product, I have been reaching for my favorite foundations. The number one is my Makeup Forever Ultra HD Invisible Cover Foundation in the shade R230. This is my favorite foundation of all time. It is so incredibly skin-like. I know people talk about the Reboot foundation a lot. I think that's a little bit dewier, but this to me is just fantastic. It blends like a dream. It never looks like makeup. It wears beautifully, never cakey, never heavy, never too greasy or oily looking. I can wear it under masks and it doesn't transfer. It's just my perfect foundation. And if I could only pick one base product for the rest of my life, it would be this. Runner up in the foundation category for me is the Lancome Tint Idole Ultra Wear Makeup Stick. These are a matte foundation stick. And unfortunately, I logged on to Sephora because I'm basically all out of these and I saw that they no longer carry this. But under the same name, they have a new product with similar shades that have a brush on the end. So I'm praying they didn't reformulate this because it's so good. I'm wearing the shade Ivoire on my face today, which is their like fair shade with cool undertones. And you can see I really don't have a lot left. This is the shade Buff. What I love about the foundation is that it's really not matte. It's very skin-like, but it just blends like nothing I've ever seen before. And I'll try to get close. This is the shade Buff. It's light neutral. And you can see it definitely is a little bit darker and much more neutral, whereas Ivoire is very pink, and that's what I use on my face on a daily basis. Sometimes I'll mix the two depending on it, but I think there's a lot of silicone in here because it's got that just ultra blendable quality, and it goes on like a foundation stick at first, and then as you can see, it just blends out into this like blurred finish, but you can see there's still a little bit of luminosity peeking through. So it's not completely matte, but it feels matte on the skin. It just doesn't look super matte. And that's what I like. You can see that I'm wearing it today, but I still have glow coming through with my highlighter and my sunscreen. So I really hope Lancome didn't reformulate that. If I had to pick one concealer for the rest of my life, no doubt about it, Fit Glow Concealer in the shade C2.5. It is just the best concealer I've ever tried. I didn't think anything like this existed. This is my shade C2.5. It is just absolutely perfect. You can see it's a little bit of a dewy formula. It's full coverage and it's very thick, but it's not thick like the Tarte creaseless concealer that everybody hates. It's thick in a way that still blends beautifully. It has an almost blurring effect under the eyes and on the skin. So I can use this as a spot concealer. I can use it in place of foundation, and I can use it under my eyes. It just, when you blend it out, it keeps this luminosity and full coverage, but it never looks cakey. It never looks like makeup. It just looks like absolutely incredible skin, and it just blurs the texture. I don't know what it is about it, but it really is one of the best makeup items I've ever tried in my life. And it's not too dewy where it emphasizes texture, but it's just dewy enough that it kind of helps your skin, gives it a little healthy boost. So this is absolutely my favorite. For those of you who've been here for a while, you know this is my favorite spot concealer. It's the Makeup Forever Full Cover Concealer. I don't even know what shade this is because I've had it for so long and it's rubbed off, but this is what I've raved about for years. You just need a tiny, tiny little dot on your spot and, tap it in, and it is set and it is not going anywhere, but it would be way too drying under the eyes, but it's perfect on spots. Next up in the under eye concealer category is my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in Light Peach. You can see I've used this quite a bit, and I have it under my eyes today. It is an absolutely gorgeous formula to me. I love that it is very dewy. It's on the thinner side compared to Fit Glow, and it just is gorgeous under the eyes. I'm wearing it today, and I just think that it feels really lightweight. It's hydrating, but it's not hydrating in a way that emphasizes texture. It's just a really beautiful, affordable product. They have a bunch of shades, and I've just been reaching for more full coverage concealers under my eyes lately, but only applied with a very small amount so it doesn't look too makeup-y. Since we've been wearing a lot of masks this year, I think a lot of us haven't been reaching for a ton of foundation. So what I've done instead is I really like to just do a couple dots of concealer all around my face and blend it in. For that, I've been obsessed with the Colourpop Pretty Fresh concealers. I don't love these as much under the eyes because I just like a little bit extra coverage, and I haven't found a perfect match for my under eyes, but all over my face, I have found some pretty good matches. So starting from light to darkest, right here we have Light 33C, which is a little bit too light for me, but I use it as a mixer with concealers that are too dark. And then in the middle, my best match for my face is Light 60N. And then this one I shouldn't have purchased. It's Light 60N. Wait, this is Light 33C. The middle is Light 40N. And the end is Light 60N. 60 is too dark, but I sometimes like to mix 33C and 40N for my perfect shade. And I just love these. They're, I would say medium to full coverage. And again, they have that kind of slightly dewy finish that I love. A little bit of that blurring quality, but not as much as Fit Glow. Absolutely wonderful, affordable price, a ton of shades. And I just find that this blends out so beautifully, and it's one of those products that just looks like skin. You know me, I don't ever really talk about makeup brushes. I have like 10-year-old, sometimes even 12-year-old MAC brushes that I still use, but there was a tool that completely changed my makeup game, and it's this Wander Beauty beauty sponge. I don't really know what it's called, but it's so good. Like, I don't know why it's so good. One of the reasons is I can use it dry. I don't have to dampen the sponge, which to me always felt like really gross with a beauty blender, but you don't need to dampen this. I never liked beauty blenders. I just didn't think they did anything for my makeup, but this really does. I love to use the pointed tip and just tap my concealer out, and I find that I just don't lose the coverage of my concealer, and that's what's really important to me. So often when I use my fingers or a brush to tap out my concealer, I will just blend away the coverage, and then I feel like I'm constantly layering more product. But with this, I only need a small amount, and then I just tap it out, and I feel like it just makes things look really beautiful. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I hate the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, but this actually made me love it. When I use it now, it keeps the coverage, and so it actually looks like a nice product. That didn't make my favorites list of concealers, but this has really helped me fall in love with products that I didn't like without this tool. 10 out of 10. Bronzer, nothing new here. Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in Light Bronzer. I just don't feel like I ever need or want to try anything else. It's just such a good shade for me. I'm wearing it all over my face and a little bit on my neck today. It's not too pigmented, and that's what I really like. I can just kind of, drag my brush around and whack it on my face, and I really don't have to worry about it. So many other bronzers are just too pigmented or they're too dry. I feel like this has kind of a satin finish, so it's not matte, but it's not luminous. It's perfect. Brows, I just absolutely love the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer. This is in the shade Brunette. It's basically just the Anastasia Brow Wiz, I think, but a more affordable version. And then my e.l.f. Wow Brow is absolutely my favorite brow gel. What I love about it, especially the shade Taupe, is that it's not too pigmented, so that if you brush it through your brow hairs, I'm not wearing it today, by the way. If you brush this through your brow hairs and you like get some on your skin, it doesn't matter. I don't know, with other brow gels, I find that I'm constantly having to like clean up around my brows. This is like a fibrous brow gel, so it fills them in. I find that it holds really well. It's just my favorite. Moving on to blush, this was really hard. I narrowed it down to 4 products, and I'm a blush girl. Like, it was really, really hard to narrow it down to 4, but I did it. First up, I have to give an honorable mention to the Phytosurgence Skin Spark. I have the shade Shimmer. This is new to me, which is why I'm giving it an honorable mention, but I'm definitely going to get more of these. This beautiful shade Shimmer is this gorgeous, gorgeous pink, and it's like a buttery, moussey texture. And I'll show you what it's like on the fingers. You dip it in and you touch it and you're like, uh-oh, that's too much. And it is, maybe I'll show some on my wrist where you can see it more true to color. It is just, see how intense that is? It's super intense. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, you might be scared because it's so pigmented, and that's what I think is so beautiful about it. It's hard to work with very pigmented blushes, but I find that because of my Wander Beauty sponge, I'll just tap a little bit on the back of my hand, and then I'll tap a little bit on my face, and that helps me apply it super sheerly, super fast, so that I'm not worrying that it's, such a pigmented blush. Because of that, because I find that I can sheer it out so easily despite it being pigmented, I know that I'm going to get other shades of this because they come in a bunch of shades, and because it's so pigmented, it's more inclusive to people with darker skin tones. So really appreciate that. A less pigmented cream option is the Fit Glow Lumi Firm. I had trouble narrowing it down to one favorite, but the shade Kindly is my favorite. This is a beautiful soft coral, and I will swatch it for you now. Fit Glow, like their concealer, like their lip color creams, they just have this airbrush quality that I just can't get over. And on the face, you really see the airbrushed quality come through, but you can kind of see it on my hand too. And they just have this kind of like thin, dewy-ish formula. And I just like to take a brush, because this pot's so small, I take a brush, swirl it around, and then just tap it on my cheeks. And that's it. Like it applies so quickly. You can, of course, use your fingers too. Like if I just boop, and you can blend it out. Maybe you can see here, it's just like such an airbrushed finished. It's an airbrushed finish, and I don't know how, but all Fit Glow products just have that quality to them that I love. I also love the shades Pop and Buff, but this is my favorite because I like bright blush. Okay, something else I totally fell in love with was the MAC Glow Play Blush in the shade Heat Index. This has that bouncy texture, that cream powder mousse hybrid that we all know and love. And again, it just has this airbrushed quality that I clearly really enjoy. I think you can see it the best on my hand here, how airbrushed it is. And it's like a matte that has a little bit of luminosity to it. That makes no sense. But really, when I wear this, sometimes I'll get compliments on my skin and people will say like, what highlighter are you wearing? And it's this blush, but there's no shimmer in it. It just looks like beautiful, juicy skin. And I think it's the easiest to apply. You just can't mess it up, Unlike cream blushes where you can kind of have issues blending them, this is just fantastic. You'll never have an issue with that. I'm really interested in the shade Blush Please next, which is more of like a dusty mauve. So loving that one, and it lasts very well because it is kind of that powder cream hybrid. And actually what ended up being my number one blush of the year, it's the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush in At Night. I was wearing it under my cheeks before I applied the Fit Glow over that. And it's just the one that goes with everything, every eye look I want, because it just looks like a bronze. Obviously, I just really don't even want to talk about Hourglass anymore because they suck. That's what it looks like. It just looks like a bronze with a little bit of red in it. You can see on my cheeks here. And honestly, I'm just going to be looking for a dupe of this. I know there are a ton of neutral blushes on the market. Hourglass has just continued to disappoint. They put out this palette that looked like they had created like a bunch of dark shades and they were using all these beautiful black models. And it turns out they just ripped all of the existing dark shades from their existing palettes and put them in a palette. And it was a total slap in the face. They continue to ignore consumers asking for more inclusivity. So Hourglass to me is not it, and they will not be getting any more of my money. But I did purchase a ton of their products this year before I started seeing just how shitty they are, and I'm gonna use the products up. Next up, we're talking eyes. First of all, the Kevyn Aucoin eyelash curler. It truly is worth the money. Nothing's better than this. It's absolutely beautiful. It truly makes my lashes hold the curl better than anything I've ever tried before. It's the perfect width and size, and I don't know what else I can say about it except it's fantastic. Of course, the day I decided to film is the day when the lighting's absolute trash, dumpster fire. But anyways, next up, Thrive. This is the number one mascara for me. It is, and if you watch my channel for a while, you know that I actually hated this the first 3 months I used it. It starts out very, very heavy and wet on your lashes, which basically just means that like it doesn't hold a curl because the lashes are so heavy. But after 3 months of using this, it got to the perfect consistency and stayed there where it was a little bit drier so that it would hold a curl. I'm not wearing it on my lashes today because this is completely dried out, but it's just perfect. It's a tubing mascara, so it washes off just with a little bit of water in the shower and you just gently, tap your eyelashes. And it's phenomenal. It builds volume and length incredibly well, and I'm definitely repurchasing this. A product I was really surprised by were these Cover FX shimmer veils in Soleil and Moonstone, and they look like this on my hand. Why did I swatch them there? God, I'm dumb. This is Moonlight, which is my favorite. It's this stunning taupe. It's so reflective, right? And then you have right next to it Soleil, which is like a nice little peachy pink shade. And they're both just beautiful. If you put a little bit on your finger and tap it on, you get more of this like glitter finish. But you can swipe it on for full impact color and they last all day. They set down very quickly and I'm blown away. Next up, eyeshadow palettes, and the only palettes I really touched this year were my Rowan quads. My favorite, if I had to pick one, would undoubtedly be 1111. I just think that this pink shade is so unique, especially when combined with that creamy glitter formula that's so beautiful. Oranges I think you can kind of get anywhere. This shade is really beautiful too, but that pink is just fantastic. And if you haven't seen it or you're interested in this product, I have a full review and demo on my channel with eye swatches of every color. So definitely check that out if it would help. My next favorite was the 75 Degrees palette, which I think is everyone's favorite just because it's, the most wearable. But yeah, those bronzy shades are just stunning on the eyes. And what I love about the formulas is that you just kind of feel like you're an adult doing like finger painting or something like that. They just are so fun to swipe over the eyes and blend with fingers. And yeah, I know that they crease. I get it. Some people are like, oh my God, these crease like crazy. And on some people, they crease worse than they crease on me, but I don't mind it. I kind of think that messy look is a little bit sexy. And what you get, the finish on your eyes, I think makes it all worth it. In 2019, my favorite palette was 52 Degrees because of that gunmetal blue, and that's still my second favorite shade. But I just had the other ones and I just really fell in love with those too. So, I really hope Rowan comes out with more shades of pretty much all their products. Now I'm going to move into single shadows, and this one is a doozy. So I'm going to do mattes first. My favorite matte shadow of the year is this Sephora single in the shade 229 Scented Candle. It doesn't really look like much in the pan there. I can, acknowledge that for sure. But on my eyes, you just get what looks like a natural contour. It looks like a little bit of just an actual shadow on my eyes, and if I build it up, like more of that plum color really starts coming out. But it's just perfect for like a wintry, cool toned matte eye when I don't want to go for a bronze. My most worn single shadow of all time is the Urban Decay Naked Shadow. There's barely anything left here, and I know that they have new packaging, but I am determined to finish this. I'm trying to swatch it, but there's like practically nothing left. It's my perfect crease shade. It's my perfect under the eye shade. You can see a little bit here. I'm trying to build it up, but there's like nothing left in that pan. And it's just really perfect for when I want a super fast matte eye that's appropriate for work. And it's perfect for just defining under my lash line. So that's my favorite kind of like transition shade. And then if I want to go a little bit more sultry, I really love the Urban Decay shadow in Beware because it's more pigmented and it's darker. So it gives me that kind of sultry, dirty kind of like matte eye that I really love. So if I want to amp it up and make it a little more of a bold look, I go for Beware. Now moving on to the fun stuff, the creams, the glitter toppers, and all those things. Something that's been a favorite of mine for many, many, many years is the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize in Oyster Pearl. Mine I have is Marie Antoinette, but she recently renamed this line. And so this one is now Oyster Pearl. It's got this moussey, creamy consistency that I just adore. And if you have my skin tone or similar, I think you'd really love it. It's this beautiful, beautiful bronze shade, but it's interesting. It's like kind of cool toned, but also kind of warm. I'll just do a tiny little sheer tap on my finger right here. And it's so subtle on me. It's beautiful. In certain light, it really catches the cool toned quality of it. And other times the warmth pulls through. And that's why I love it. It's much more warm toned than Tom Ford Platinum, but it's still, compared to all my other bronze eyeshadows, it's still the most neutral. And that's what I really like about it, is that I can whack this on for a Zoom meeting at work and it just makes me look beautiful and put together without it being about my eye makeup. Next up, I have a similar color. This is the Colourpop Super Shock Shadow in Cosmic Charge. This is an Amanda Z recommendation that I fell in love with. I don't always love the Colourpop Super Shock shadows. Sometimes they're a little too crumbly, or I find that there's a lot of glitter fallout, but this is a phenomenal formula. This is what it looks like on my hand. Very similar to Oyster Pearl from Charlotte Tilbury, but just so reflective with all of those silver glitters in there. And so this is an absolute win because it's so affordable, and it just has those glitter particles throughout that bronze that just bring all of that light to it. And I think this is the best Super Shock shadow that they make. And I have a lot. Next up, a similar color, I can see the Hourglass Scattered Lights in Ray. This was probably my #1 shadow favorite of the year. Not probably, it was. This was my #1. Again, I'm not going to be spending a dime on Hourglass until they fix their issues and they start listening to consumers and becoming more inclusive. Until then, I will just use up what I have. So if you know any dupes for the Scattered Light in Ray, please let me know because it was my favorite eyeshadow. I'm going to swatch it next to the other shadows on my arm. And what I think is so special about the shade Ray is that it's kind of like a combination of a bronze, again, with like a little bit of cool toned quality to it because it's that kind of bronzy shade. It's less bronze than the other two. It pulls a little bit more like caramel through, or tan, I'd like to say. And that's why it was my favorite, because I think it's more unique. And then you've got that like overlay of chunky silver glitter. And that's why I like it. All of the other glitter toppers that I have are like, either have much more of a base pigment or are much more just transparent bases with more glitter. This is kind of that happy medium that I like, where you have that base pigment poking through, but then you also have chunky glitter. It was really hard for me to not pull the other Hourglass Scattered Light shades I have, but I will save every single eyeshadow pretty much for my one and done eyeshadow video in February, so stay tuned for that. And on my eyes today, like I mentioned, I've got the Natasha Denona Chroma Crystal Eye Topper in the shade Peach. What do we have? Another Amanda Z recommendation. Would you look at that? I think you can see on my eyes right now, compared to the other shades that I have shown so far, this has more of a transparent base. You can definitely see the peach peeking through, but to me, it's really a lot more about the kind of chunky glitter on top. See, you just have so much glitter, and I don't know if it's coming through on camera, but there's like a lot less of base pigment compared to all of these, and it's much more of a real like glitter topper. It is the driest and most crumbly formula, so you can get some fallout, but the effect on the eyes I think is just stunning. Last up, this year I tried the Audiography glitter pigments, and 3 of them became my favorites. Pretty much look exactly like all the other shades I've shown. My favorite from Audiography is Celestial. It looks a little bit more gold on camera, but in person, it just has this beautiful, slightly translucent tan gold champagne hybrid with a lot of gold glitter running through. All the other shadows have had silver glitter, and this is the only one with gold glitter. So you definitely get a little bit of that warmth coming through, and it's just absolutely stunning. It will definitely be featured in my one and done eyeshadow video. I'm gonna attempt to do eyeshadow swatches of everything, so yikes. My other favorite is the shade Off the Hook, which is a little bit more cool tone, a little more taupey. And on my hand, compared to Celestial, we have Off the Hook right here. I mean, do I have a type? Yes, I have a type. Off the Hook is, well, all the Audiography glitter toppers I think you can see on my hand are, they have the least chunky glitter. So they look more like a metallic shadow with some loose glitter on the eyes, but you can see it really looks like more of a metallic finish, where the rest have like a lot of chunky glitter. I just love them though, because sometimes you're not going for a super glittery look. Sometimes you want, you know, something a little different. So I appreciate that they are different than the other ones I have. My honorable mention from Audiography is the shade Sparkler. This to me is much more of an actual glitter topper. You can see it on my arm here. See all that chunky glitter coming through? Those like foiled flakes of glitter? That's what I think of when I think of a glitter topper. Not so much these Audiography shades here. Those to me are more like pressed glitter metallic shadows, but Sparkler to me is a real glitter topper, super metallic, and has much larger chunks of glitter in here. So there is a little bit of diversity throughout the formulas, but I'm definitely going to be picking up more because these are so beautiful. First up, a lip liner discovery that made the favorites list, the Citizen Cosmetics lip liner in the shade Dupe. I discovered this after Sabrina Carpenter used it in a Vogue video, and I knew I had to have it. It is this perfect nude shade. It is a bit brown, but there's a hint of rose. And most importantly, there's some gray in it so that when I line my lips, it looks like a real contour. It also has this very soft creaminess that also has a blurring effect. So I can blend it and really overline my lips, and it is very believable and makes them look juicy. Also fell in love with the new Fit Glow vegan lip liners. I have the shade Nude right here and the shade Buff right here. Buff is my favorite because it's a bit more pink on the lips. I thought these were just going to be very basic because they are your typical, oops, not that end. They're your typical like pencil liner that you can sharpen. And I was like, yeah, all right, we get it. Like another lip liner on the market. But I really do feel like these are special. They last forever. They feel creamy. They're beautiful. I don't really know what else to say about them. They just are much more long lasting than the Citizen Cosmetics lip liner. So it kind of depends what you're going for. But these are just fantastic from Fit Glow. And then moving along, My number one lip product of the year is the Fit Glow Lip Serum, but I've talked about this so much on my channel that I don't really want to give it too much more attention and I don't want to bore you guys. But this is the shade Koi and it's new to me, so I think I'm going to apply it actually. My lips are stained from the Victoria Beckham lip tint, but this is Fit Glow Koi and it's much more of a sheer shade. Normally their cream shades are very opaque, but this one's sheer. And nope, not doing it justice because I have that tint on. It's really not going to come across to you, but I'll swatch it for you right here. It's just a sheer, gorgeous, gorgeous peach that has a lot of brown to it. So that combo of peach and brown is just absolutely beautiful. And yeah, Fit Glow Lip Serum, can't go wrong. It's my favorite lip formula of all time. My number two lip product of the year, the Rowan Liquid Lip Balms. You can see, I don't know if it's coming through, but you can see I've used these a lot. This is the shade Charlie, which is kind of like a dusty rosy mauve. And then you have Remy, which is a very light beige that leans on the yellow side. These are very similar to the Fit Glow lip serums, except they are much more thin and they have a peppermint scent, whereas Fit Glow has more of like a natural vanilla scent. But they are very similar in that they have that liquid lip treatment feeling, not a lip gloss. And that's what I love. That's why throughout quarantine, that's what I've been throwing on my desk every day. So you've got Charlie, which is that dusty nude, or sorry, dusty rose shade, and then Remy. I do find them to be quite sheer on the lips, whereas Fit Glow has so many shades and so many different finishes. These are they just have 3 shades. I didn't love the shade Scout, but these two are incredible, and I really hope that Rowan can come out with more shades. Comparable to the Fit Glow and the Rowan lip glosses, the New Evolution ones are very similar. They're just not like a liquid lip treatment in the sense that when they wear off, you feel like your lips have been beautifully nourished and kind of treated. These, though, feel very similarly on the lips. They feel like that kind of gel, like liquid gel gloss formula. They just don't leave my lips better than before, like Rowan and Fit Glow do. Fit Glow, but beautiful, beautiful formula, and they smell like yummy, yummy vanilla. So this is the shade Riviera, which is this gorgeous pinky peach, and this is Berrylicious, which is a stunning pinky berry. And I just think that they're beautiful. If you want to see swatches, I have an entire reel swatching my whole collection. But those were my 2 favorites. Also, no surprise, I'm sure, the M Cosmetics lip cushions. They're like the Laneige lip sleeping mask in texture, but in a stick, which is really cool. So I have the shade Angèle and Magic Hour as my winners for this year. So you have Angèle, which is that beautiful pink. And then you have Magic Hour, which is much more of a peachy pink. And I just love them. They feel amazing. They're unscented. And I didn't love Venetian Rose or that berry one, but they just came out with a clear and I need it. I also really fell in love with the Glossier Play Vinylic Lip in Driver this year, which is sad because they just discontinued the whole Play line. So that is a bummer, but what are you gonna do? This is a beautiful product and this is Driver, but I don't wear it crazy like that. I just kind of wear it blended out so it looks like this on my lips, kind of like a beautiful flushed bitten look. It smells like apricots and this fuzzy slanted applicator looks like it would be annoying and messy, but it's actually the perfect applicator for blurring the lip. And I love that. Sad that that was discontinued. In the video, what tinted my lips was the Victoria Beckham lip tint in the shade Cherie. Unfortunately, I saw that as the video went on, my lips started getting, you could really see the lines in my lips as the kind of like gloss wore off. So I will say that if you layer this several times, it will look like it's settled into your lip lines and it's not cute. So I feel like my lips look really bad now. But if you do one layer, then it's really beautiful. So this is one layer. This is the shade Cherie, and it's a cross between like a plum and a bright pink. So on the lips, if you layer it up, it's like what you saw in the beginning of the video. It pulls more of that like plum berry. But There's also a bit of brown to it, so it's very flattering on a wide range of skin tones. Next up is more recent to me. This is the collab between Nikki DeRoast and my beauty brand. It's their color changing lip oil. I hate lip oils though, so don't let that scare you if you don't like lip oils. I just swatched it on my hand here, and right now it's clear, but in a bit it flushes this beautiful bright pink shade like you see on the applicator there, and it really just looks so lovely. I've been reaching for a lot of products that stain the lips because when I'm at my desk and I'm in Zoom meetings for like an hour and a half, I want something that's gonna have lasting color and not just fade off my lips after 5 minutes. So a stain is really important to me since I don't like matte lips that are like long wearing. I don't like things that are bold. So this is now starting to get a little bit more pink, but it really pulls pink when it's on the lips. And it's not an oily consistency. To me, it's really more of like a very nourishing, thicker, gel-like oil gloss, and I love it. I'm really surprised by this, and I have to say, I love everything that Nikki touches. Okay, so I took my lip product off to put on the next two, my In Beauty lip glazes. They have quickly become some of my favorites. The number one shade is my all-time favorite. It is the sheer Juicy Red. It smells like candied apples. Oh, it's so good. And what I love about these lip glazes is that for every shade, they have a different scent. That's like my favorite thing ever in lip products. On my hand here, next to the Nikki DeRoast one, is the In Beauty lip glaze. And I'll show you on my lips right now. Despite the red color, it's quite sheer on me. And look at this huge little applicator. Oh. But it's so cushiony, gel-like, nourishing. Where's my mirror? It's the kind of applicator and formula where you want to just keep going like this, like absent-mindedly, just like, oh my God, it feels so good. So that's In Beauty Lip Glaze number one, which is my favorite. Great to keep at your desk. This is number three. This is Frosé, and it smells like pink lemonade, and it's this kind of like sheer, shimmery, cool toned pink shade. And you can barely see it, but it's basically like a clear. And if you're going for kind of more of a cool toned look and you just want to like pop that through, this is a really good one because it's not too frosty, but it kind of gives you those cotton candy mermaid Y2K vibes. So there you have it. All of my lip product faves. You can see a lot of nudes and a lot of pinks in there. I guess I have a type just like with my eyeshadows. But that's it. Those are all of my 2020 makeup favorites. I hope that this video was helpful. Stay tuned. I've got some other really exciting videos coming up, especially my one and done eyeshadow video in which you will see a lot of glitter toppers. So stay tuned for that. And I hope wherever you are, you're happy and you're healthy. Bye.